I've recently traveled to some of the largest cities in the world: Sao Paulo, Mexico and Moscow. Whilst there, I realized that these growing cities are getting more and more polluted with less and less green spaces. It made me think that we need new ways of greening up our urban city living. Welcome to Hydroponics, the green ticket for sustainable future urban development. In the next 10 minutes, we will look at the dilemma of growing urbanization and some solutions, with the main focus being on the use of hydroponics. We will look at the implementation at home, in farming and in our cities, and what we need to get started. Finally, we will conclude whether hydroponics bring real sustainable value and should form an important part of urban development, or it's just a fad. From when I was born,
the world consisted of about 3.5 billion people, which after that doubled to 7, and within my lifetime it's expected that this will triple to about 10 billion by 2050, when 70% of the world's population will live in cities, with 600 dominating cities across the world, which will become denser on the expense of urban green spaces and vegetation, the lungs of our world, which gives us our oxygen and stores our carbon. We are going to have to rethink our urban planning, and that is extremely true here in Baku, Azerbaijan's capital, one of the most polluted cities in the world, where most of the buildings in the background are illuminated at night in spectacular fashion, but not in a very sustainable fashion. But there is another way, and that is to make use of modern green technology and invest in this. And this can be financed by creating new market mechanisms, such as creating user fees and even taxes for activities that involves excessive use of nutrients. These funds and subsidies can be created to fund urban green spaces development, utilize our buildings, both for gardens and for farming. I'm outside the current headquarters for the Central Bank of Azerbaijan, that in 2017 will move into a brand new building designed as an eco-building. It will consist of 2 towers, 30 stories high, and in the middle there will be a massive atrium, creating a vertical urban city. It will consist of numerous glass floors, and sunlight will be beamed from the top using a daylight reflecting beacon. That means at the bottom of the atrium a park can thrive, and the sides of the atrium will be covered by connecting vertical gardens, utilizing hydroponics.
So, what is hydroponics? Well, if you ever place a plant clipping into water, hoping it will develop roots, then you practiced it, as it is the growing of plants without the use of soil. The term originates from the Greek hydros, meaning water, and ponos, meaning work. The term hydroponics was created in 1937 and defined as crop growth in mineral nutrient liquid solution without having a solid medium for the roots. Today we call this type of growing solution culture hydroponics. Another type is medium culture, which uses solid, inert materials such as rockwool, gravel or coconut fiber to provide mechanical root support. Soilless growing avoids many natural problems linked with temperature, lighting, short growing seasons, water shortages and poor soils. It is also practically free from diseases and pest attacks, and therefore reduces the need for soil sterilization and the use of pesticides.
So Alan's come along as a complete beginner. We've suggested he gets himself a propagator, which is like a mini greenhouse, just to keep the young plants in while they're getting a good root system. We've suggested also he tries this growing media called Root Riot, an inert growing medium, which is pre-soaked in a solution, which is very useful for stimulating plants to grow roots. So that's going to go in here. That's the all-important hydroponic feed. We're going to use 5 ml of this per litre. There's a 5 ml syringe. Pipette. 5 litre bucket. And then, when we've actually got the plant growing on, we're either going to go into like a rock wall like that. That's a 3-inch block. We just transplant the little cube into there. Or we're going to use compressed coconut fibre, which is extremely cheap and easy to transport, biodegradable, soak this with water or solution. It's going to swell up to about 13 litres. You're just going to put the plant into there and hand water.
Hydroponic urban vertical gardens, or living walls as they're often called, have the root system growing on substrate, constructed either in modules or an other system placed on a facade, normally based on fabric. To survive, many challenges must be overcome, such as the management of advanced irrigation and nutrient feed systems, plant survival during winter, and an initial high investment cost. But once in place, it looks great and produces many benefits. It reduces noise and stress levels in the city and improves air quality. It reduces energy, as foliage provides shade in summer and thermal insulation in the winter. The plant protects the building structure against rain, wind, frost damage and UV light.
So, living walls make a positive impact, both on the environment and on human health, and certainly make a city look more aesthetically pleasing. That is most certainly true here. I'm outside the front of Hotel Athenon, that in 2009 had this amazing vertical garden created by the award-winning artist and research scientist Patrick Blanc. He's created a biodiversity haven right in the heart of London.
It's simply a stunning piece of work. A fairy tale dream of wall, erupting with trailing branches and flowers, 8 stories high above Piccadilly's red buses, like a living tapestry. Bypassers breaking out in smiles when seeing the wall is also priceless. As well as hosting native plants and flowers, its humid microclimate is the perfect spot for more exotic species, including the world's biggest collection of a very rare Asian nettle, the Urticaceae.
So you want to do it more commercially. What do you need?
Ideally, you're going to go for a self-contained growing environment, and what most people will choose to go for is a tent where we can keep everything contained, put a lighting system in there to provide perfect natural sunlight replacement. We're going to install a ventilation system for regular air changes. We're going to install a heating system to keep the plants warm at night. An irrigation system for our hydroponic unit, so it's all automated.
But this means you can grow it more or less without any natural daylight. Everything can be artificially done.
You could be on the moon and do it, in theory. But a spare room, a garage, a cellar, a loft, you name it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Enormous possibilities, really.
Huge, yes.
So, what would large-scale hydroponic farming look like? Plant growth is fully enclosed, with light, air and temperature environment computer controlled. Feeding and watering of growing trays occurs by rotation. This can be adapted to scarce urban space by stacking the growing trays, creating a vertical farm. Automatic systems pulse the rack upwards to slowly rotate them to ensure all plants get an equal amount of light at the top and nutrient-less solution at the bottom. Recycling ensures that up to 98% less water than traditional farming is used. All of this can be controlled using a smartphone, which allows a farmer to adjust nutrient or pH level remotely and will give alerts as necessary. Our cities continue to grow at an alarming rate, with unsustainable growth in consumption of water, energy and food. Cities need to become self-sufficient. Hydroponics allows food crops to be produced within city limits, both in urban farms and at home, at a resource-efficient, chemical-free and sustainable way. It also enables us to recreate green spaces in the heart of a modern-day urban concrete jungle. Living walls make our cities look pretty and bring health and environmental benefits. As for me, well, I've set up my own first hydroponic mini garden at home, costing me virtually nothing, and growing my own lettuce and lemon verbena. Time will tell if I've got green fingers. Hydroponic really is our green ticket for the future.